But obviously, being a very curious student and probably want to go abroad, travel abroad, how did you end up in your first sort of job, which I think was for an industrial company traveling from Latin America, from Europe, etc.? How did that journey
Mm.
look like?
Well, like many students, we had companies presenting their credentials on campus and trying to attract a number of students. And I applied to a couple of them, and one of them was Ernst Young, and they offered me a contract, and it was very, very decent, I mean, in terms of what you will earn and what you will do. And many people said, well, it's a very good experience because you will see a lot of different businesses. And so I was about to sign my contract when I bumped into someone that I knew from the past. Who was a friend of my parents, but a very distant friend. I met him only once, in fact. And I bumped into him completely by accident in an airport. And then we started chatting because we were waiting for the same plane. And we pursued a conversation in the plane. And at the end, when we landed, he said, well, why don't you come and work for me? I said, yeah, but what am I going to do? And he said, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? I said, well, it depends. Because I have this contract and I'm going to sign. And they look at me and say, no, don't go mainstream. I mean, you need to do something that is really valuable. And I can tell you that I run an industrial group. It's fairly international. We have expanded massively, and we want to continue the expansion through merger and acquisitions. And we have set up a team that will go and analyze the synergies that we can create between the different companies in the group. And that will give you a real exposure to the industrial life. And as an engineer, obviously, I was interested in that. So the next thing that he said is that, well, you're going to be based in the US. And I'd been traveling to the US. And I was a bit fascinated by the US. So that was better than being based in Belgium. So said, okay, that's already exciting. Where about it? And he said, well, you have the choice because we have two main offices in the States. One is in Hartford, Connecticut, which is a place that I knew Connecticut, but I had never heard of Hartford, which is in fact the capital of Connecticut. And it's either there or Miami, Florida. And I said, well, is that really a choice? I mean, would you expect anyone to say Hartford, Connecticut? And then he said, joking, well, anyway, it's better that you're based in Miami because the most recent acquisitions and probably the future acquisition we'll do will be in Latin America, and then it's best hub to travel to Latin America is Miami because you have direct flights to pretty much all the place in Latin America. So I didn't know Miami at all. I obviously had the same image than probably many people have of Miami, which is either a holiday resort or a place where you retire when you're very old American and you made it okay in your life, or at least Florida had that reputation. So I said, well, I'll try Miami. And fortunately, before I moved there, I found a friend who was going to study there. He was a little bit younger than me. So he was going to attend the architecture school in Miami, which has a very good reputation. And so from day one, I could share an apartment with him. And leave the student lab, but still have the good part of the student lab, which I suppose are the parties and all the rest. And then it was indeed very interesting because I was traveling all the time. I didn't spend that much time in Miami, at least the first 2 years, and traveled to many Latin American countries, which is extremely interesting because I think we have a tendency to put all of them in the same bucket, but they all have their cultural differences. And that's definitely something that I learned that, stop having prejudice. Just go there, experiment, and extract whatever value you can extract for yourself, but also for the people locally. So that was great.
But reflecting on that story, how do you sort of view the concept of serendipity, luck, and timing in planning a career and getting the career opportunities you want to have?
Hmm. I've never been good at career planning, to be honest with you. I think that the studies that I did had a fairly good reputation. So when I did engineering, when I chose to do a chemical, and as I said, it could have been anything else, I knew that I would land a decent job with a decent salary. I mean, that was it was very tough studies. I mean, people look at you and say, oh wow, he's an engineer, must be intelligent. Well, I'm not sure, because some of my course students were maybe not that intelligent, but anyway, I managed to get out of the system with a diploma and land a job indeed. But I never really planned a career. It was more opportunistic, and I have a great deal of trust in life. Um, but what is very important is that I think a lot of people have opportunities. You need to identify the good ones from the bad ones, and it's a mix of gut feeling, I guess, but also really trying to take a step back and think, okay, is that something where I'm going to be happy, and what makes me happy? Well, what makes me happy is hopefully what makes a lot of people happy, and it's to continue to learn. I think that you continue to learn until you die, basically. If it's to do something that is the same over and over and over again, I think that that will not be particularly exciting. And the problem with not being excited is that you will get bored, and quite frankly, it will affect the way you work. And so the quality of your work will be affected by what I dare to call happiness at work. After all, we spend much of our life at work than whatever we do privately, at least for most of us. And so whatever you do in the office better make you happy. So from time to time, you will take the wrong decisions. And I certainly did that at some point in my career. I mean, prior to embarking in an MBA, I certainly spent, I think it was 5 or 6 months with the wrong people. And I almost immediately, because 6 months is a pretty short period of time, I almost immediately resigned from that group because it didn't make me happy. It made me very uncomfortable. I wasn't sharing a lot of values with the people I was working for, and I think that you also have to have the courage to admit that from time to time you will do mistakes, but you need to react on them.